Yep, we're good to go. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Um, Got a tickle on my throat. I'm sorry. Happy Monday. It is the first day of school for me and my children here in Orlando, Florida. And I was so um I was so overjoyed dropping them off because I realized I am not a new mom at all as I'm watching these moms leave and you can see them like wiping their faces. And I'm like, get out of my car. Go back. Summer is over. I am done being responsible for you 5 days a week. Go. I am just not a new mom. I was not teary-eyed this morning. I was like, please, for the love of God, put your shoes on and leave my so if there's any moms watching this and it's your first week of school for your kids, you're not alone if you're like me. But if you're the nice mom who cries, also I was like that too, but when they all went into kindergarten, but not anymore.
Oh,
Anyway, so happy Monday.
happy
I
Monday.
am I'm excited to be here with you today. This is Kelly. For anyone who doesn't know who we are, if you're watching us for the first time, I'm Jillian Conley. I am the Vice President of Marketing, Communications, and Strategies for CEO Consulting Group, and I'm here with Kelly Featheringham, who is the owner of Team Leadership Solutions. Kelly, welcome to the party.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy Monday.
Happy meeting. So today we're going to be talking about, and pretty much in August, it's like a general theme. We're going to be talking about being mindful in your marketing and staying focused and finishing strong all the way through the end of the year with your marketing intentions and goal setting and so on. And so um, the idea is we want to talk to you guys today about looking at your goals, revisiting them, reassessing, realigning, and doing the things that you need to do to make sure that you are actually able to achieve those goals and to make sure those goals still align for where the direction of your company is going. So Kelly, why don't you go ahead and kick us off and talk to us a little bit about setting and revisiting goals and how to do like that quick like mid-year check-in to identify what's realistic to achieve by the year end, and then what maybe we would need, how would we know if we needed to adjust? So go ahead and kick us off.
Okay. Yeah, I love this. And I know in June we did a lot of looking backwards, for the first 6 months. So we should have a lot, if you've been tracking with the program that we're doing here, you should have a lot of data looking at all of the things that have gone right, things that you want to improve upon, things that you want to do differently. So now as we enter this home stretch, I I like this time to really think about how to reposition and reprioritize our goals. Think about, okay, well, I set these goals that I wanted to achieve by the end of the year. Maybe I'm not going to hit exactly how they were. So how do we either break them down into pieces so that we can get portions of them done or rearrange them or realign them for where we are today so that we can still feel like we've achieved things and not beat ourselves up of, oh, I set this lofty goal in January. I looked at it in June and thought, oh, I'm never going to get this done. So we'll just toss it out the window. So the idea
Right.
is to take those pieces and kind of realign.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I think that's a really important thing to keep in mind is assessing it and figuring out whether or not it is achievable, whether or not it's something that you can actually move forward with, or if it needs to be adjusted. So, like if you're setting goals for your business or for your personal life, professional or personal, it's important that you take those goals and then get the high level and then work them backwards into an actionable plan. So you can't just say like if you were have a personal goal, maybe you want to lose weight before the holidays or something, you can't just like say I want to generically lose weight by Thanksgiving. I don't know, that's a terrible example. I know you can't just say that and then go no details. Well, how much weight do you want to lose? How do you know when you get there? How do you know that you've achieved your goal? How do you know when it's time to stop and realign? How do you know when it's time to refocus? It's the same thing as your business is you got to look at it and go, this is what the goal is, and this is how we're going to get there. And does this align with who I am right now and what I can handle right now as a business owner? Because you may have had a lot more energy at the beginning of the year than what you have right now. Life may have shifted in the last 8 months, and maybe you can't handle the load that you have originally set out for yourself as a company. And you need to break it down into milestone goals or break it down into like just tangible steps and stretch the timeline on it. But working backwards from that said goal that you're going to get to make this the actionable steps, I feel like is really a part of it that doesn't always happen. Like we get excited about planning, we get excited about setting goals, we get excited about saying this is where I'm going, but it's not as exciting or rewarding in our pleasure centers of our brain to implement.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, it's and it happens to all of us. I mean, I feel like even the most successful people, when I look at them, sometimes you read what the different things online and you hear things, they struggle with this too because I think and you hit it so great. We get excited. I'm going to do this.
Hmm.
And I've got it all mapped out. It's on I'm a paper person, so I'll get big pieces of paper and I'll write it all out. And then it's like, well, I may have it all mapped out, but what are the steps to get me here? So then you
Right.
sit down at your desk to do it and you sit there thinking, okay, I have it all mapped out, but what's the first step? Because I haven't prioritized it. Or how do I achieve that first step? Or what do I need to do that first step? This is kind of where
Hmm.
that self-leadership comes in, where you take a step back and figure out, okay, what do I need to get from point A to point B? And a lot of times, I know we have a lot of business owners watching, or even just in leadership, or even just you were talking about school with family. As women, we tend to ghost ourselves a lot. I always say, when we're dating,
Hmm.
we wouldn't put up with that kind of behavior from others if they made plans with us and constantly didn't show up. Whereas we do that to ourselves all the time. We set this
Hmm.
goal, or we tell ourselves we're going to do this, and then something else comes up or another priority, or we're doing something for others, and our goals and aspirations kind of get shelved. And you're really standing yourself up for a date that you made to do something. It could be, going
Right.
to the gym. It could be scheduling all your social media thing. I know I ghosted myself
Hmm.
on that for a long time, and still I really have to
Yeah.
hold my feet to the fire, right? Different things that we set in our mind that we're going to do. So taking that time to map it out. So
Yeah, I love that. I think that's so important to talk about that ghosting yourself energy because you're absolutely right. Like if we wouldn't be friends with someone who showed up erratically for us. We wouldn't stay in relationship with someone who would say things and never follow through on things. Like we would not stay connected to people that we would deem as unreliable. So why do we become that unreliable person to ourselves? And I think it's really important to like take that time to evaluate that self and that perspective of what is it that you do really well? What are your strengths and weaknesses? Where do you need to be paying attention to the things that are going to drop out from underneath you based off of who you are naturally versus pushing you into like learning a new skill or sharpening a skill, excuse me, a skill set? And I would say that ultimately, at the end of the day, regardless of who you are and what you know and how wise you might be, the thing that will set you apart in your holistic goal setting and in your leadership as a whole, as an individual, as a parent, as a wife, as a mother, as a daughter, as a CEO, whatever it is, the role that you cherish that you want to highlight, it's going to be the discipline side because discipline is the difference between getting to where you want to go and just having enough motivation. And if we're being honest, there's not very many days in our lives where we're actually motivated to do things. Like you might have a moment in planning that you're motivated, but then like once you're done planning and you have that goal and everything is set, it might lose its excitement a little bit and that dopamine drops off, and then you have to go actually spend the next 90 days implementing. That's not a fast reward. That's not like a quick, immediate result. That's 90 days of your life that you have to remember that you have prioritized something, and that hopefully is yourself. And so discipline and routine, I think, are really key in that. So let's talk about, how do you set your life up to be a goal achieving lifestyle, basically? What do you think about that?
I love that. I love that. And I think that so the first thing that pops into mind is I can hear eye rolls and cringing and stressing on the other side of this camera from people of they want us to they want us to have a very strict routine. I have to do this at this time and all of these things. And what I would say to that is no, you don't. You need to come up with a routine that works specifically for you. I am the no one size fits all champion because I think that there is no one size fits all. My pants are a different size than my top. I can't do matchy matchy outfits, right? I mean, there's so many things in life that don't come with this perfect mold. And a lot of times, as business owners, as leaders, we look to get guidance from others and I don't think it's to shortcut, but it's almost because we don't have confidence that we can figure out what we need to do. So we look to all of these different pre-canned planners and systems and apps and structures and schedules and all of these. The most important thing, if you take nothing else away from my version of planning, is find the system that works for you. And it could be sloppy. It could be a little bit of on paper, a little bit of on the computer. It could be an app. It could be AI.
Yeah.
It could be something that you learn from a mentor, pieced together with something that you learn from another mentor. But don't be afraid to test drive a lot of different things incrementally until you find just the right routine, right? Some people are morning people, some people are night people. Play with those things and give yourself a period of time to adjust and tweak to find that system that works really well for you. And then don't be afraid to adjust it because it might work really well in the summer. But as Jillian just said, right, schools get back to school now, right? So our schedules have just been turned upside
Mhm.
down. So now you may have to have a separate routine for fall. And then maybe the
Right.
holidays, you're feeling more energized in the holidays, or maybe like me in January, you really just want to sit around and watch Hallmark, right? I mean, then
Right.
we need to
Yeah.
adjust our schedule a little bit more to make sure we're productive. Track
Yeah.
those things. Yeah, and make it what works best. It doesn't mean you can't watch all the videos and take all the trainings and ask lots of different people for the how they get things done. But then rather than try to fit that into your life for you, adjust and tweak it and make it special. Make it your own personal sauce.
Yeah. I think that's really wise advice. And for anyone listening or watching the replay after the fact, I think it's important to note the value behind let it be messy. So many of us, I say women over men more particularly, have a tendency or a propensity towards perfectionism or wanting to get the A or whatever that energy is. It's like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it right. But the thing is like life changes. It's supposed to. It shouldn't shock us that we're evolving. It should not overwhelm and disrupt our entire ability to function because life is shifting, because it's supposed to shift as we grow as humans, as we go in our lives, as we set goals in our businesses and move forward. And so I think that implementing practical ways to build or even rebuild your weekly, daily schedule is going to be something that will serve everyone who follows us. And like you said, it's not always going to be the same. So, like right now, my kids just went back to school today. So, right now, my kids need me to be on a very rigid schedule, or they're not going to get their stuff done because who else is going to tell them to do it? No one, right? They're children and they need a parent to tell them. Well, we're adults and no one's going to tell us to do it. So, the practical way to build your schedule out would be to sit down and time block your day through and through, no gaps. So even if you're like, well, I don't know what I'm going to do from 6 to 7 o'clock, that's fine. But time block that time for free time. Time block that time for goofing off or scrolling on social or going for a walk or whatever it is that you feel like you need to do. Read a book, go, exercise, spend time with a friend, call someone, time block it. Because if you take the time on the front end to lead yourself appropriately, meaning that you block it, you trust that you're respecting yourself enough to follow that schedule, to respect that schedule as if you are not just showing up for yourself for that book that you're going to sit and read for 20 minutes, but you're showing up for a client and that client is a VIP client. It just so happens to be yourself, but you still show up for it because you set it on your calendar to go for that walk. You set it on your calendar to eat that, make that healthy meal or go to that, class or take that certification. You set it on your calendar. Self-respect, self-leadership says, I'm going to follow through on that because you wouldn't let someone else down. So why let yourself down? And I just love that perspective that you shared leading into that. But the big thing being that with all of that, self-discipline and routine are going to be the thing that save you on those days that you're not motivated, which is probably going to be 6 out of 7 days. Every week, you're not going to be motivated to hit these goals. So putting it in your schedule to actively implement is going to be a thing that can help save you for sure.
Yeah, well, and I love that you mentioned, you don't know what you're doing at 6 to 7, put it in as free time. I feel like those buffer blocks that we put in our schedule are huge stress savers because
Yes.
one of the most common questions I get when I talk to people about time management is they say, "Well, Kelly, unexpected things come up every day. As a leader, how am I supposed to work? How am I supposed to schedule that into my schedule and plan for that? How, it throws me off and I get
Mhm.
behind constantly because I always have some kind of fire drill." Those buffer
Right.
times are exactly that's your time to wiggle and adjust when those things blow up. And it doesn't mean that you have to fit those fires into those blocks, but if you have something blocked earlier in the day that you can't finish or can't get to because you're putting out a fire, you've built in some extra time for free time or for fire drill time or catch up
Yeah.
time. And I always encourage
Right.
people to plan long. I'm a
Mhm.
terrible underestimator of my time. I use a couple of apps online to give me ideas about how long, because I always underestimate how long things are going to take me.
Mhm.
Um, but so I overestimate, and then you have extra time. Because
Right.
if a meeting is only 40 minutes instead of an hour, don't be afraid to let your folks go and say, "Hey, I'm giving you 20 minutes back. I know we all probably have little things out there that need to get done." Then you can bank that time so that when those fire
Right.
drills come up, you do have the time. Um, it's just a matter of thinking about the hours in your day a little bit differently because it feels like
Yeah.
I don't have time for this. But when we look at the calendar, we do have
Mhm.
time. We just have to be a little flexible and creative
Right.
in how we rack and stack what we're doing.
Right. And I would also like to remind everybody, because this is 2025 and it's okay to be honest with ourselves, that reminder that if you can go onto your smartphone and look at how much screen time you have spent on your smartphone, for anyone saying they don't have time, let's start there. Just there's no judgment here. I'm not saying that everybody lives on their phone. I'm just saying start there at a place that can give you a metric that will tell you you're spending 5 out of 24 hours in a day on your screen. Maybe we could cut that down by an hour. Let's give you back an hour, right? Like, let's just be aware, like, be consciously aware of what we are spending our time on by time blocking it. And for any of you that are in the neurodivergent category, this will probably align really well with you, is you might need some spiraling time. And we call it squirrel time, spiraling
Mhm.
time. It could be stare at the fan, laying on your floor time. Sometimes and I would even argue, even if you're not neurodivergent, I would say that there's always a point in our lives where our brains need a break. And if your role in your job, like if the business that you do is very mentally taxing, you're making lots of decisions, you're creating lots of strategies, you're like using your brain over and over and over on repeat all the time, you might need to put 15 minutes on the floor to stare at the fan on your calendar. And that may not be every week, but maybe you need that this month because it's busy season and you get people out really fast, or whatever it is that it looks like for you to reset yourself. And I think that coming at this without the judge, like your inner critic, the inner judge that would say, like, you have to earn that. No. No, no, that's backwards thinking. We need to remember that we need to rest enough to earn the level of work and output our careers require of us. So, have you rested enough to be able to do what needs to be done? Not have I done enough work to earn my rest. And as long as we have it that way, where have I earned my rest, we will always fall into those states of burnout.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And I want to talk about that next because the balance between the personal and professional time can be really overwhelming, whether you have kids or not. It doesn't make it any easier to balance personal and professional life. So, like for you, Kelly, how do you do that? And how do you avoid burnout, or at least recognize when it's happening to then slow it down so it doesn't happen? How do you balance personal, professional?
Oh, well, I think the first thing I would say is that it doesn't look the same every week or even every day, right?
Right.
There's so much out there about balance teaching us we need to be in balance, and I think again it's that no one size. So there are certain
Right.
seasons in my year or certain seasons in my life where I feel like good balance for me was a lot of work. It energized me, it thrived me. I didn't feel drained from it,
Right.
whereas other times it's not. So I think just trying to keep aware of that self check-in. How am I feeling? And sometimes you can't do it frequently. You know, it'll be something along the lines where you just wake up one day and you think, gosh, I've been tired a lot the last couple of days.
Mm,
You just kind of
yeah.
listen to your body and think, okay, what am I doing different? What could I do more of? Am I eating differently? Am I working too many hours? Maybe I was on vacation and I was drinking more wine than I was, right? Things like that and how it affects you. Um, just quick side note, my dad has always been, he's always talked about how he's very in tune with his body. So I grew up with that. Like he listens to his body is what he always said. You know, his body will always
Mm,
tell him when he needs to rest and when he needs to do different things. And he's always been very, very healthy. He's getting older now, so the last couple of years, not so much. But I grew up with that thinking that I needed to listen to things. So if my stomach doesn't feel quite right or I'm getting headaches, I've always been kind of in tune or at least taught to listen to those things. The
mm,
reason I mention that is what's interesting is for physical stuff, yes. But then when you start
mhm.
thinking about burnout, that's never really been something that anybody talked about back when I was growing up, right? Yes, we talk about, oh, your
Right.
body will get run down, you might be physically tired. But now we talk about, and this kind of talks to your point about staring at the fan, emotionally and mentally is a very different thing. And I don't know that I can listen for that. It's like you hit a
Right.
wall one day and you think you're staring at your screen. And this has happened to me at least two or three times this year where you're going, 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 and you're thinking that you're moving along. And then you find that I've just stared at the screen for half an hour and I can't
Yeah.
process anything. Like you just hit that wall.
Right.
So, and then when that
Hmm.
happens, then you just have to, okay, I need to walk away. And then your head as a business owner and a leader, you're like, I have so much
Hmm.
to do. I don't have time for this. But it's amazing how if you take that time, for me, it's doing things like jigsaw puzzle or Legos,
Hmm.
things that I have to focus on to do correctly, but I don't have to process, if you will, right? If I do something where I stare at the ceiling, I'm not a good I'm not a good turn off the brain. So I have to
Mm,
divert my brain. So if I'm doing
mhm.
Legos, I'm focused on the directions, but I'm so consumed on the directions and making sure I put the pieces together. I'm not thinking about, did I pay that bill, or do I have to follow up in an
Right.
email? What do I have to
Right.
do? So it's like I have to, so again, that one size fits all. Find the thing that works for you. Maybe you can do yoga, or you can
Hmm.
color. Sometimes I color. I have adult coloring books. I like those. Yeah,
All right.
that's
I wasn't going to share this, but I will because we're talking about it. Right here is our coloring station. So
I love it.
definitely just knocked my phone off my desk. But we have a coloring station on our table that stays there permanently. And it's like bags of like coloring pencils and crayons and all kinds of things
Yes.
because in our home full of neurodivergent people, in our home, if we don't have a hard reset every once in a while, we'll just all just mouthy like murder each other. Like we get like snippy and mean and ornery, and then we're not thinking, we're out of our logic, we're in the wrong nervous system. So when the house gets wild, we color, we settle ourselves down and we draw in color. And that works for my family. But I love that idea of like, what's the thing that's going to help you reset and get out of the stuck point that you're in? Like, is it a puzzle? Is it a game that you like to play? Is it a weird cat? Like, what's your thing? Like you never know what's going to, get your brain to go snap out of it, um from that like kind of more disassociated state where you're just like staring because you're like running the clock out energy versus are you actually getting something done. And we want to see people being productive towards their goals. So I think that's really great wisdom to go, if you're catching yourself doing nothing, just admit it and go reset yourself so that you can come back in a better state of mind where you can actually, excuse me,
It'll
get stuff
save you
done.
time. I think we're often reluctant to take the time because we think
Mhm.
it's eating at our time, but it really, in the end, if you're not being productive because you're distracted and it's taking you so much longer to do things, if you
Mhm.
do that hard reset and take the time when you come back, you're much more productive. So it will, in the long run, save you time.
I agree. Absolutely. That's one of those, that expression, slow down before you speed up. That's what this is.
Yeah.
It's slowing down before you speed up so that you can get everything checked and in line before you take off. It's almost like doing like your 100,000 mile checkup on your car. It's just with your marketing, with yourself, it's with your business. You're just looking at it from this perspective of how can I show up intentionally for you as the CEO of my life holistically. And one other thing I wanted to mention towards this, because I know we're running out of time, but I wanted to mention also is just like making sure that you have a CEO day like every week. I You may not think that you have the time for a full 8 hour CEO day, but I would love to challenge that thought and just say you need a day a week where it is just you as the CEO of your company, being the visionary of your company, being the one who sits with it and nurtures it and grows it and turns it into whatever it is that you're wanting it to be by December. You've got to have time for that. You got to block time for that big picture thinking. So don't forget about that. Now it's 9:30, so I want to try to be mindful of the time. One thing that I wanted to make sure that Kelly and I did was we're both speaking at the summit, and I wanted to invite everyone to the summit um, to come and develop and grow and connect with other women who are like-minded and who are looking to push themselves in a great way. Kelly, I would love for you to share what you're talking about um, this year for the fifth annual Women's CEO Summit.
Oh, okay.
Do you
So,
remember?
yeah.
Or
I
I
do.
can do mine.
It's so funny because I was just pulling it up. I'm like, okay, let me think about it because I know it's in around self-leadership and so I'm doing a round table and we're going to talk about charting your self-leadership path. So it's going to be an interactive thing. I love the round tables because it's not just we're going to do a worksheet and we're going to talk through. So you're going to walk away with some actionable steps on figuring out where you want to be as a leader. I think that we take a lot of time thinking about someday I might have employees and all of the different things and all of the business things. So I'm going to be helping you chart your path on your leadership journey, what kind of leader you want to be, where you want to be as the head of your company, and how you want to get there. Kind of in the line of goal setting, right? I talk a lot about goals.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Um, for me, I'm going to be teaching roundtable and workshops. And so for me, I'm teaching one workshop. My first workshop during the day is going to be empowering your business with AI-driven marketing and productivity. So we're going to talk about using artificial intelligence like ChatGPT, Centra, like different tech pieces to transform how your business operates and how you understand and harness those tools to make strategic decisions for your marketing and long-term planning. And then my second workshop is going to be a workshop around messaging, and we're going to talk about finding your clear customer-centered message that will drive growth for your business, something that will help you learn to build clear and concise messaging around who you are, who you serve, and what problem you solve as a business owner in order for you to get your message in front of the right people. And then for the roundtable discussion, I'm actually just doing a Q&A. So people can sit with me and ask any of your marketing questions, and we will troubleshoot them live. It'll be a live coaching session for my roundtable discussion this year because that's usually what people need from me is just I have a quick question, I need to solve a problem. So if you are watching us live or watching the replay, if you have not purchased your tickets, last chance to purchase them at a discounted rate, I believe. I think the price is getting ready to go up here soon. And so I'm actually just going to drop that in the chat. Here, the link to the summit this year. You are invited. Please get your tickets today and come hang out with Kelly, come hang out with me, and all the other women who are out here inspiring and impacting change. It's going to be a really wonderful event. Friday, September 26th. So it's right around the corner. And then Kelly, thank you so much for hopping on with me today for Marketing Monday. And if you are watching our show on the replay and you have any questions, feel free to tag Kelly or myself in it. We'd be happy to answer your questions. And we will see you all next week for Marketing Monday.
Have a great week.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.